everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Vikings Rewind. I'm your humble host, Ted Glover, out of my patio because I'm getting ready to put some chicken on the smoker. With me, as always, my partners in crime, the founder, lead blogger, and numero uno honcho over at the Vikings SB Nation website, the Daily Norseman, Christopher Gase, and my co-host, also partner in crime on Vikings Report with Drew and Ted, Mr. Drew Bunning, behind the scenes. As always, is Ruby making the magic happen so we can even do this show. I've been to a World's Fair. I've seen goats fornicate. I don't know that I've ever seen anything as wild as this game, boys. Somebody talk, because I can't right now.
This team, they weren't down their starting quarterback. They weren't down their second-string quarterback. They weren't down their third-string quarterback. They were down to their fourth-string quarterback, a dude that 6 days ago was sitting in Arizona wondering if he was going to be traded. They're without wide receiver 1. They lost wide receiver 3 about halfway through the game. It sounds like they've lost running back 2 because it sounds like Cam Akers might have blown an Achilles at this point now too. And they're without their all-pro left tackle. I have no idea how the hell this team won this football game.
And TJ Hawkinson was out for a while. It looked like he had a rib injury and he was questionable return for a bit. Drew, at some point during this game, no matter what happened, I thought the fight and resiliency of this team was pretty impressive, and Kevin O'Connell had this team prepared and ready to go. But I don't know, once Jaron Hall went out on the second drive, anybody saw the game unfolding the way it did. Did you?
No. I was when Dobbs fumbled, that guy ran it back to the 2. I was thinking this kind of might be an avalanche moment, but I told Toonces, I said after that goal line stand, that's a momentum shot. We're going to be in this game the whole way because. How'd we beat them? The substitute teacher, Arthur Smith, is kind of a dumbass. And our defense is really good. People are going to have to get used to it. Our defense is good. They gave up that one drive to relinquish the lead at the end, Ted. But that game, the defense played. Flores has that defense playing spectacularly. Welcome, everybody. I'd say hi to everybody out there.
Yeah. Welcome, everybody. We got some people in the chat room, as always. If you'd like to be eligible to win a prize at the end of the show, go ahead and make a comment. Just say hi. How's it going? First of all, let's talk about Jaron Hall. I mean, he started off his first drive. They went, I think, 3 and out. That second drive was looking pretty good, and then he looked like he got that concussion, and was out the game. And when Josh Dobbs came in, I really had no expectations for the Vikings being able to win this game from that point on, Chris.
No, I mean, especially Dobbs didn't turn the ball over. The first drive for Dobbs wound up as a safety when he got crushed in the end zone on that third down play. And then he turns it over on the next drive. And, like you said, Brian Flores' defense is just out of their minds right now. I mean, a team starts out at the 2-yard line and they have to settle for 3 points. That's some impressive stuff right there. But man, like I said last week, we better enjoy Brian Flores when he's here, because if he can be somewhere else this season, he's going to be somewhere else next season.
Yeah, I can't say enough about this defensive performance today, Drew. You look at the score 31-28 and you think it was kind of an offensive shootout, kind of a fireworks show, and it really wasn't. I mean, when you look at how many times the Vikings defense kept the Falcons out of the end zone, and you talked about that Dobbs turnover, where the Falcons returned it to the 2 or the 3, and they couldn't get in the end zone. I just can't put enough. I can't give enough kudos to the Vikings defense today.
Ted used the word resiliency, and I think that's perfect, because there's something about this defense, and I don't even think it's reached its top level, guys. I don't. They're much better against the run. It's like the Vikings are getting to the play quicker. They're understanding. If that makes any sense. They're getting to the play quicker. They're understanding it better. But that last drive, the Falcons kind of ran the ball on them. But this run defense is completely different than it was the first month of the season. The pass rush is there, but look at pre-snap movement. Look at all that. Look at what's going on. They're running guys in and out of the line of scrimmage. It's crazy. It's very crazy. And the offense did it that last drive. What about Dobbs getting out of that sack on 4th down? That's crazy.
Yeah, that last drive was a moment. It just kind of felt like the Falcons sort of took control of the game on that fourth quarter drive, but they ran, I think it was a 12-play drive. They ran 11 times, scored a touchdown, took the lead, and it just felt like that was just going to be a bridge too far for Dobbs and the offense. I mean, when you consider they're down Justin Jefferson, they were down KJ Osborne, they were down Cam Akers. They had the ball deep. They had to go 75 yards, I think it was. And Josh Dobbs pulled a rabbit out of his hat 2 or 3 different times on that drive. That was something. I don't know. I don't know about you, Chris. I didn't see it coming.
No, absolutely not. I mean, Dobbs is on his 7th team in the National Football League. He's speed running Josh Johnson's career at this point in time, I think. But some of those plays he made on that last drive, that throw to Addison, they went and reviewed it for whatever reason. I thought it was pretty clear that Addison came down with that one. And then, like you mentioned, the scramble on 4th and 7 to keep the drive going. When the Vikings made the trade for Dobbs, we said that the Vikings were getting a mobile quarterback for the first time in a while, and we saw that, whether it was going to be Jaron Hall or whether it was going to be Joshua Dobbs. But I mean, for most of the first half, Jaron Hall was the team's leading rusher because the run game just couldn't get anything going. But we saw that dimension that guys like Dobbs or Hall can add to an offense on full display on that last drive.
Yeah,
the legs. That's how we won that game, by having a quarterback that was mobile. We probably lose that even with Cousins in there, but
yeah,
I don't know. Plus that last drive. That was a beautiful pass to Hawkinson. Beautiful. And the one he dropped, laid it in there perfectly right before the scramble play. So he did really well on that last drive. But I feel like we stole this game, even though Atlanta's not that strong. But
yeah, I want to. There were, and for as monumental as a win was for the Vikings, there were a couple things that are still troubling. Their inability to run the ball, and now that Cam Akers is hurt, that's just going to even be more problematic. I was surprised. Well, not really surprised, but Chris, I don't know if you could go back and look, but I don't think the Vikings had a 2nd and 5 or less, but maybe once or twice this entire game. And when you can't run the ball, and when you're putting either your rookie quarterback or the guy who just got here on Tuesday and still probably doesn't have a place to live on 2nd and long and 3rd and long, you're really not setting yourself up for success at all. And yet they still figured out a way to win.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find how many or what kind of 1st down or 2nd down situations the Vikings were in. But I don't think it seemed like every 2nd down was like 2nd and 8, 2nd and 9. But yeah, it was not good for the run game today.
Robin Bell says Dobbs running reminded me of Culpepper. Surprised the hell out of me. Kid can run. That's very true. Raymond Hogan says ran the ball a little bit better in the second half, and it's true. At one point I saw a stat where the Vikings had run in the first half. They had run 16 times for I think 22 yards, and at the same point in the second half they had run 16 times for over 90 yards, and the running game got better, especially later in the game, but still on 1st and 2nd down, you have got to be able to run the ball better than the Vikings did today, Drew.
No. Can you hear me now? I have some audio problem.
Yeah, can hear you.
Okay, much better. This up the middle thing, it happens every week. We're never going to get out. We do it like 10 or 12 times a game. I want to mention something that this makes a lot of sense, though. David Stefano, First and Skull, the guy that runs all that stuff at First and Skull, Dave Stefano, everybody knows him. He's on every show, on podcasts, on the internet. He messaged me during the game, and he said, did you ever notice Madison gets better, like after he gets lathered up and has had 20 runs? His runs start making sense. And you know what? He's right. He's very right. That's what Madison did today. He was chewing off 5-6 yards of carry, but in the first half, he can't get anything. So I wanted to give Dave a shout out for that. I thought that was a great insight by Dave. I don't know what they're going to do with the run game, Chris, without Akers. They need something. I don't know. Chandler apparently has trouble with blocking schemes and everything. That's why he's not seeing the field, Chandler. But he's pretty explosive.
I mean, unless you're going to give Alexander Madison 30 carries a game, you got to do something with Ty Chandler. I mean, he's got to get a few reps in there someplace. I mean, Ty Chandler and I think Dwayne McBride is still on the practice squad, but that's just about all they've got left at the running back position behind Madison at this point. So they're going to have to do something. I mean, they've been kind of unwilling to play Chandler most of the year, but he's going to get into the lineup here somehow, I think.
He has to, because we need that change of pace guy. That's what Akers brought to us, that little bit of burst and explosion that Madison doesn't have. You're not going to run Madison just by himself 30 times. You're going to lose. Maybe we do bring up McBride. I don't know.
They're going to have to do something because Alexander Madison is just – he ain't it. He just ain't.
No.
And he isn't going to be. And look, I get pass protection is a critical part of what the Vikings need out of a running back, especially in this modern age of football and all that. But they have got to have, especially now that you have quarterbacks that are no longer Kirk Cousins. Sorry, folks, I'm actually putting food on my smoker as we speak.
That's all right.
But if your quarterback is not Kirk Cousins, you're going to have a running game that can support those guys. And I don't think Alexander Madison is the guy that can do it.
No, I mean, he's when he was in a tandem with Dalvin Cook, he was the second guy, with Cook quite clearly being the lead guy. And that's probably the role he's best suited for. The Vikings need an actual, top running back that can handle the load. Because, like you said, Madison just isn't it and hasn't been doing it so far.
Well, you need a running back that can make something out of nothing. I mean, Madison can get 5 or 6 yards if the hole's there, but otherwise, too many no gains. I mean, he doesn't have any moves. So you have to have a gaping hole for that guy to get yardage. I'm more worried. I'm not worried about the run game as much as I am. Josh Dobbs had a fantastic game, but Chris Gates, he's going to get all our receivers killed. Some of those passes he lays out there.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you throw those passes high. When he got shellacked, Hawkinson had to go high for one. He got crushed, and somebody else got hit really hard. I mean, don't get our receivers killed, bro.
Yeah, that was another thing I wanted to bring up along with the running game. And I mentioned this on Twitter during the game that Josh Dobbs is going to get his receivers killed. And I was said, and a couple of people replied, well, hey, he just got here on Tuesday. And that was still an issue with Josh Dobbs before he got to the Vikings on Tuesday. It's one of the things that make you really appreciate Kirk Cousins now that Kirk is out. What an accurate football Kirk threw. He always led his receivers, or almost always led his receivers. Or if he did throw them behind him, it was to protect them. And the one long pass reception that Jaron Hall completed to Alexander Madison on that second drive was a picture perfect throw. I mean, he laid it right with Madison in stride, and that is kind of what you look for with a quarterback. And Dobbs is going to have to work on that accuracy, or there's not going to be anybody left to catch the ball in about 3 weeks.
No,
yeah,
I mean,
it doesn't have anything to do with him being here a week. He's been in the NFL 7 years.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, it doesn't really have to do with that. Chris, what do you think of that Addison catch? That brought me shades of the Buffalo game. That when JJ caught that big.
That was an insane catch down there. It really was. I mean, he went up, he got the ball, he made sure his toes were still in bounds. Right. He knew he was going to take a shot from the defender. Yeah, that was. I don't want to throw Chris Carter's name around when it comes to Jordan Addison yet, but that's exactly what it reminded me of, because Chris Carter made a career out of doing that sort of thing. But yeah, that was an amazing catch. It was.
Well, it came down to a handful of plays, and we made it today.
It usually does.
It did. Okay, I think I'm back up running normally now. I thanks for being patient with me, getting the chicken on the smoker and all that stuff. But yeah, and Drew, you say that all the time. Every single game comes down to a handful of plays, and it felt in the first half that the Vikings were not making them, and Atlanta was. I shouldn't say that. Let me backtrack. Let me say it was kind of a push. For every bad play the Vikings made, and it seemed to be on offense, the defense held up more than their end of the bargain. They had that goal line stand, and they kept the Vikings in the game. And then when the Vikings offense started to come alive, the defense sort of, I don't want to say gave up the ghost, but man, they've been on the field a lot. Do you have time of possession stats there with you, Chris?
I do. The Vikings actually won the time of possession battle for this one. They had the ball 31-32 to 28-28 for Atlanta. So yeah, they actually came out. They did. The Falcons had that one drive at the end where they just ran the ball on pretty much every play and wound up taking the lead as a result. But outside of that drive, the time of possession thing really kind of tilted pretty solidly in the Vikings' favor until that 7-minute drive at the end by the Falcons.
You know, folks, one of the things we like to do is give away prizes for great comments here. And Robin Bell says, we need another Scotty Graham. Not hating on Madison, but he's never even held a candle to McKinnon. You know why Robin Johnson Bell is going to get a prize? Because Scotty Graham went to Ohio State, and he was a monster back for the Vikings in the mid-'90s.
That's not why she made the comment. She hates Ohio State. She's Notre Dame Fighting Irish all the way. Robin
But she mentioned an Ohio State alum, Scotty Graham, who follows me on Twitter, which I'm pretty happy with. Anyways, so Robin, congratulations. I'm giving you a prize. Way to go.
Good job, Robin Bell.
And that was throwing out an old school Viking from way back in the 90s.
That's good knowledge.
Raymond Holdman says that 60-yard screen by Atlanta was a killer. And it was. Drew, you texted me when that play happened, and it was you said that was a perfectly blocked screen pass by Atlanta. And I
thought it was.
It was, but I think it was number 67, whoever that was for Atlanta. It looked like he grabbed like Josh Metellus' jersey so hard you couldn't see the 2 4s on his jersey front, which prevented Metellus from getting it. But anyways, yeah, it was a well-executed play. What do you guys think about Tyler Heineke's play overall?
Can I comment first on Heineke?
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Suck it, Heineke, you showboat bitch. You lost. You lost to a guy that a quarterback outplayed you. It's been here a week. So, you know what I mean. I don't want to lose my cool here.
Yeah.
I hate when he showboat. I got a first down. Yeah, you lost. All right, that's all I have to say about Heineke. Weed.
Yeah, what did you think about his play overall, Chris? I mean, I thought it was
what's wrong with
a fairly even push for the Vikings in terms of quarterback versus Heineke versus Hall. We gave him the edge and we gave Heineke the edge, but during the week because just the experience. But I don't know that he played better than Josh Dobbs today.
No, I really don't think he did, to be honest. But I mean, it was definitely, you would have thought that given Heineke's experience, even though he didn't have a lot of it, he certainly has more than Dobbs or Jaron Hall. But yeah, that was a little. I was surprised he kind of played as he did, to be honest.
Yeah. Other than Dobbs playing the way he did after being here less than a week, what was the biggest surprise for you guys in this game, Drew?
I think the defense, the disguising of plays and the way the defense played. I know they're good, but they were going to have to win this game. By the time we got that safety in another drive, I was thinking, we're going to get really killed on the time of possession. So I don't know. The defense is going to have to win, or special teams returning a kick or something. So I am glad that I'm not really surprised by the Vikings. They make me drink every week. I mean, that's another Viking game, Ted.
Yeah.
The most entertaining. And you know what? Like Chris said earlier, Josh Dobbs is a rocket scientist. So
yeah, literally rocket scientist.
Literally. So I think that nothing really surprised me. I was surprised Atlanta ran that. Atlanta was playing for a field goal on that last drive. They were trying to run it when they were running that ball. When they got down to the 10-yard line, they were going to run it and kick the field goal. So,
I think they were.
But the Vikings made it work. We got it done, and that's all that matters is getting that W.
Yeah, I'm still surprised. I can't believe the Vikings won this game. When Dobbs came in, I think he got sacked for a safety on his first drive, gave up a fumble on his second drive. Am I right on that?
No, he sure did.
I think I texted Drew. I think I texted you that almost infamous now among Vikings fans, anyways, that Josh Freeman gif from that Monday night game, that ill-fated start he had where he went, I think, 21 for 57. And the gif is he drops back to Bass and he throws it, and the ball leaves Earth orbit and it hits the shuttle, and it was just feeling like the game was unraveling like that. And I wasn't, had it continued in that way, I wasn't going to hold anything against Dobbs, because, man, what can you expect out of a guy who's been with the team less than a week, really doesn't know the playbook? They had prepared all week for Jaron Hall, and then Jaron Hall goes out on the second possession. I had no expectations about the Vikings doing anything after that point, after Hall went out. Did you, Chris?
No, and the more I think about it, you brought up the Josh Freeman game, which I can understand with the way Dobbs started, turning the ball over on his first two possessions. It kind of turned into that Tuesday night game in Philadelphia back in 2010, the Joe Webb game.
Yeah,
because Joe Webb, he wasn't. I don't think he was as bad game as Dobbs was in this one, but he gave the Vikings an opportunity to win because they were coming off of Favre getting hurt, and then like everything else that happened in 2010, it was just weird. They wound up playing on Tuesday because of the weather delay and whatnot. But yeah, Joe Webb put the Vikings in position to win, and he wasn't called upon to do the kind of things that Josh Dobbs was called upon to do today, though. So
no,
yeah, it's just strange. This is one of the even for a franchise like the Vikings, this is one of the stranger victories this team has had in a long time.
David Bruns asked this question. I don't know if it's really fair or not, but we'll throw it up here. It said, would Cousins have made that last throw to Powell, or would he have forced it to Hawkinson? Was Dobbs not knowing the wide receivers benefit that throw? No, I don't think so. Chris, I don't think that had anything to do with it. I would argue that if Kirk had been playing, the Vikings wouldn't have needed a game-winning drive inside the last 2 minutes to beat Atlanta. But that's just me.
No, I think the Vikings win this game by 10 points with Kirk Cousins at quarterback, just, because, we haven't seen the kind of turnovers from Cousins that we saw from the Vikings offense. Well, we've seen a couple from Cousins, but, like you said, Dobbs turned the ball over on his first two possessions, and the guy hasn't been here a week. They traded for him on Tuesday. I don't think he actually got into the facility until Wednesday, so he's been a Viking for like 5 days. And now he's being asked to lead game-winning drives with 2 minutes to go on the road and whatever. And I don't understand how it happened, but it sure as hell was fun to watch happen. Yeah.
Drew, can you hear us? You back with us, buddy?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, sure can. Loud and clear. You sound good.
Okay, good.
And more importantly, you look good. And Chris,
no, I don't.
You too, brother.
Somebody emailed me during the show and said, Arthur Smith looks like a healthy Drew. And I could not disagree with it.
Arthur Smith looks like a substitute teacher. I mentioned this on the show. He looks like a substitute teacher that doesn't know how to run the audio video equipment, so he's got to actually try and teach something during the class. I don't know. Go ahead, Drew.
Chris ran through all the injuries. One of you guys did earlier. And one we didn't mention was, I think you mentioned Darisaw being out. What about the job Quisenberry did? He did all right out there. Left tackle's not, you're not coming in as a new punter. You're coming in as a left tackle. And that, I guess I'm most surprised. The question you asked before, Ted, is how well our depth players are stepping up.
Yeah.
Powell has been great. Powell is like Duke Shelley on the offense this year. He has helped every game. He's made a contribution. And you take JJ and everybody that's out, and the Vikings still found a way to get it done. Hats off to Kevin O'Connell. I just need to think he needs to switch his plays a little bit, but great job all around.
Drew, you mentioned depth, and you and I and Chris, you've been in on this conversation too. When the Minnesota Vikings started to decline in the last, 2019, 20 and 21 under Mike Zimmer, it's because their lack of roster depth caused them to not be very competitive
when their top line players went out because they were paying a lot of money to those top line guys, the starters. Now you look at what they have now. Drew, you just mentioned Brandon Powell. Josh Oliver made a couple plays today. Jordan Addison, good-looking rookie who had been able to step in with the top 2 wide receivers out. I mean, who would have thought in week 9 Jordan Addison and Brandon Powell would have been your receivers with the game on the line against a first-place football team being thrown to by Joshua Dobbs. I mean, just like we all saw this in August. But again, it goes to depth. I mean, look, do you remember a couple years ago, the Vikings? It was late in the year. They were having a pretty bad year. I think it was 2020, maybe 2021. They still had a chance to make the playoffs. Kirk Cousins was out with COVID, I believe, and they had to start Sean Mannion. I think we did a live watch party during that game, and it was just an absolute disaster because Sean Mannion was terrible. And now with Dobbs, and I thought Jaron Hall was going to play, was on the verge of playing very well and making a statement game, which he still could next week if he's healthy. He's in concussion protocol. We'll see. The depth looks a lot better, and even and flip that on defense now too. Guys like DJ Wanham are stepping up. Josh Vitalis, when first round picks don't work out, it's a lot different feel for this roster than it was even 2 years ago.
It is, and this is Kwesi and Kevin O'Connell kept talking about a competitive rebuild, and they're doing that because they have those depth guys now. I mean, on what was the biggest play of the game after the Dobbs touchdown run to make it 21-19, the Vikings line up for 2. And maybe you're looking for TJ Hawkinson, maybe you're looking for Jordan Addison, maybe Alexander Madison. Joshua Dobbs is looking for Tristan Jackson in the corner of the end zone to get the 2-point to tie the game. Nobody outside of Minnesota knows who the hell Tristan Jackson is. And, he makes the biggest play of the game to that point because, he's out there in big situations. They have all these injuries and they're getting guys meaningful snaps at meaningful times. And it's benefiting them a lot.
Well, obviously he's the younger brother of Jermaine Tito and Michael Jackson.
True.
True. So that makes Lucky Jackson his cousin.
So David Bruns asked this question. I want to go back to it. I can't. Ruby, if you could bring it back up. But he asked about what will it take to retain Brian Flores. Man, I don't care. Back up the Brinks truck. Tell him he's a head coach in waiting. I give him partial ownership in the franchise. I don't know. I honest to God don't know, but I would do everything in my power to keep him at least through next year. He's going to be a head coach, and he very well should be. If I was Kevin O'Connell, whenever this season ends for the Vikings, I would say, look, B-Flow, you're a guy that is going to be a head coach. You're going to be an awesome head coach in the NFL again when you get a chance. You're going to get a chance. But I think with this team healthy next year and you calling this defense and everybody back, we can win the Super Bowl. Give me one more year to try and win a Super Bowl with this team, because if we can win a Super Bowl here in Minnesota, we will never have to buy a drink in this state again, ever.
He is really doing wondrous things with the defense, and I'll say this. Usually coach of the year is given to a head coach. This is the first year I would strongly have to recommend that Flores is the coach of the year of all coaches. He's doing that well. He's doing that good of a job. I mean, how is he not defensive coordinator of the year? He's probably already got that locked up, but the things he brings to this is night and day from that other guy we had.
Oh,
so much different.
Not even comparable. And
no,
Chris, I don't know about you, but I think you could argue when you look at just the overall talent level between individual players last year to individual players this year, there is not as much experience or talent on the defensive roster this year, but it is a much better unit.
No, it is. I mean, there's basically one guy on each that has a significant level of experience. I mean, you've got Danielle Hunter up front, you've got Jordan Hicks up front, you've got Harrison Smith in the secondary. I guess Byron Murphy's been around for a few years, but he doesn't have the longevity that Harrison Smith does. But otherwise, this is a bunch of young guys out there, like your Mekhi Blackmans, your Ivan Paces, your Jaquelin Roy, who made another huge play in the run game on defense. I mean, like we said about the offensive guys, these guys are getting meaningful snaps in meaningful situations, and it's only going to be beneficial to them down the line. And if they can keep Brian Flores around in some way, shape, or form to let him have another year with this defense, it is going to be a ridiculously good defense next year, I think. I mean, I'm sure they'll add parts in the draft, they'll add parts in free agency, and if they want to keep Brian Flores around, they'll probably say, hey, wherever you think we need help on defense, we will go out and get you what you need to be successful. And that, that's probably going to be a part in keeping them around as well. So, but yeah, these young players on both sides of the ball are getting meaningful snaps in meaningful situations. It's helping their development a ton, and it's only going to be beneficial to them and the team moving forward.
Real quick, Drew T. Kubler says, bring Adrian Peterson back. Ruby, kick him out of the room and kick him off the wheel. No, I'm kidding. We're not going to do that. Go ahead, Drew. I want to bring up the guys you mentioned just a minute ago, Roy Blackman and go ahead. I'm sorry.
I just want to say real quick, we were talking about players we didn't think would. What about Ivan Pace Jr.? I mean, we got to throw him into the mail. What a tremendous job that guy's doing. Brian Flores took a bunch of, I don't want to say ragtag, but a bunch of guys that weren't used to playing with each other. And look what he's done in 9 weeks. This would take a scrub defensive coordinator 2 seasons. And if he keeps coaching like this and our defense keeps getting better and better and better, we're not going to be able to keep him because there's going to be teams beating the door down. They're going to offer him a crap load of money and they're going to get him because he is on pace to be the hot coach in the offseason to get for a head coach, isn't he?
Well,
if you want to be head coach, how do you keep him here as a coordinator?
A couple people have mentioned, he still has that ongoing lawsuit with the NFL when he was down in Miami, that discrimination lawsuit, and then Darren Campbell mentioned that teams might be blackballing him because of that. I hope that's not the case. I hope he gets another opportunity to coach. I just for very purely selfish reasons, I want to keep him in Minnesota.
I'd love for him to stay. I'd love for him to stay.
But he is coordinating himself into another head coaching gig, and if he leaves and gets one, I will absolutely, it'd be one of those happy cry gifts. I think he absolutely deserves another shot. I thought he kind of got a raw deal. Somebody else mentioned it earlier. I think he got kind of a raw deal in Miami. But yeah, digital Nate says make him an assistant head coach. Luke Krieger, our buddy Drew or Dave says the Wolves should overpay to keep him. Make him the highest paid assistant in the NFL. Okay, sure. Yes. I'm sure. You bet. I'm with that. I'm all for that.
You know who would have loved to play in this defense? Patrick Peterson, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
He would absolutely be having a great time in Flores' defense.
Yep. Matthew Edwardson, this is a good. I've seen this several comments. Say what you want about Kirk and his accuracy, but isn't it nice to have a QB that can run?
Good comment. Good comment.
Yeah, and I think Jaron Hall was the same way. I think he made a nice run on that very first drive, that third down. He almost got the first down. I think we would have seen some of that. Dobbs, that one touchdown run by Dobbs and that fourth down get out of jail free card he threw down on the field and escaped like 2 dudes and got down to the 15.
Wow.
My grandson Grayson is watching the game with me now. He's my now official Vikings watch buddy. I'm probably me more so than him, but we were both kind of jumping up and down going, what did we just see? Because that hasn't happened. Somebody mentioned Dante Culpepper earlier. No, that hasn't happened since the Culpepper days, Chris.
Absolutely not. I mean, now I wonder, I know that Hall went out with a concussion or whatever, but you got to start Joshua Dobbs next week, don't you?
Oh,
even if Hall comes back, he's got to be the starter, doesn't he?
Even if Hall is out of concussion protocol, you start Dobbs. You ride the wave.
I don't know if I'm going to agree with you guys on that one.
Really?
I mean, I know Hall looked really good early on. I mean, he wound up being 5 for 6. The only pass he missed was one where he should have hit T.J. Hawkinson in the end zone and overthrew him by a little bit. But, after what Josh Dobbs just did,
right?
After 4 days of prep, he doesn't even know everybody's name yet, for crying out loud. And, you know, what he just did, leading this team to this victory on that drive, I think you got to stay with him.
I do too. Ted, give us a rebuttal on that. Give us your disagreement on
that. This is 100% nothing against Josh Dobbs. What he did today, I would argue, I thought was impossible. Heading when he came out on the field after his first 2 drives, after being here 5 days, doesn't have a place to live yet. It just felt like what he did was going to be an impossibility. Yet he did it. 100% credit to Josh Dobbs. I would still go with Jaron Hall next week if he clears concussion protocol, because I liked what I saw from Jaron Hall, and the Vikings still need to know what they have in him. And I don't know. I mean, I don't even know what Josh Dobbs' contract status is. Is he a free agent at the end of this year? What the deal is?
I think he is. Let me see if I can dig up his contract while you guys are.
Go ahead, Drew.
I know what you're saying, Ted. And by the way, our studio show with our preview pretty much called Dobbs right down the line to what happened today.
I want to give you a shout out, buddy, because you said Josh Dobbs is. I don't think you said feast or famine, but you pretty much described his play to a T today. He will make a great play, or he'll turn the ball over, and that's exactly what he did today. Give yourself a pat on the back, brother.
Okay, I will say this. That 4th down play when he shedded the block, ran for the first, he's been here 5 days. Like Chris said, they don't even know his name. What's his name? David Dobbs. What's his name? He's already made
Dobbs.
He's already made the play of that's the play of the season. And he's been here for 5 days. Now listen, you start Jaron Hall. He goes in there at the beginning of the game and has couple 2, 3 and outs. You're going to ruin his psyche because people are going to be booing, saying, "Why isn't Dobbs in there?" I'm telling you, you can't do that to him. You can't. You can't put Jaron Hall out there and have him, because you know that's how the fanship and everybody's going to roll is, I don't understand it. That's our 3rd 3 and out. We have 4 yards passing. Why isn't the guy in there that won the game for us? Like, that's what the people are going to do, and it's not fair to Jaron Hall to get all that crap thrown on him. It's not.
So because Ted asked, so Dobbs signed a 1-year contract back in March with Cleveland, and since then he's been traded twice. So he got traded from Cleveland to Arizona, and now he got traded from Arizona to Minnesota. So yeah, he's on a 1-year contract, so he's a free agent after this season if the Vikings don't do anything else with him.
Okay. Ruby, hang on. I want to give a prize out here, because this. I saw this comment and I almost spit beer out of my nose. Chuck Litwin says Dobbs jumped out of grandma's car after a bake sale and backyard QB'd that win. Chuck, that is prize-worthy, my friend.
Absolutely.
Get a hold of Ruby at Vikings Report and Drew at Ted@gmail.com. That's a prize, man.
That's almost worth having a guest appearance on the show.
I mean, he's
what a great comment.
Josh Dobbs like drawing plays in the dirt. Like, okay, you go down past the Buick, run it out, and just like
he's like drawing on the turf
and crap. Yeah.
What about what I said about Jaron Hall? Am I off, guys? Chris,
no,
am I off? I mean,
you're not. You're absolutely
not. I
not.
can understand it.
That makes perfect sense. This Minnesota Vikings team is nothing if not consistent with quarterback controversies, real or imagined.
You know what? It's impossible to be sober and be a fan of this team, and I don't mind. I mean, it's the Vikings. It is the Minnesota Vikings, and they are the most entertaining team, not in football, maybe in sports. I don't know. I don't watch other sports besides hockey, but they keep. And then next week they're going to piss us off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think Dobbs should just keep playing because I think he deserves to start. I mean,
Jay. Well, you guys bring up a good point. Jay Johnson says, Ted, don't forget Dobbs was changing the plays at the line after 4 days, and they seemed like good changes. Yeah, that's not bad. Wow. Yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, look.
How did he do it? How did he learn that much of the playbook in what, Chris? 5 days? I mean, what? How did he do it?
He is an aerospace engineer, after all. I mean, the aerospace engineer thing is right there with the Adam Thielen was on a $500 scholarship, and Jerome Bettis is from Detroit, and those kind of stories. But I mean, I think Chris
pass into mythology now.
His play was out in the stars today, so let's.
I think Chris Myers mentioned it 27 times during the broadcast, at least. It was it seemed like every other thing about Dobbs was, yeah, he's an actual rocket scientist. He's an aerospace engineer.
We said in the preview show was, if there's anybody that can come in and do this, it's Dobbs, Ted, because he's been in this situation on so many teams, thrown out there, learned the playbook. The guy probably knows a lot of plays.
We didn't think it would be today, though.
No. I mean, I am. I mean, come on, guys. When can you talk about a guy that's done? When has this happened before to the Vikings? I mean,
one quick thing I want to throw in that I'm just now seeing on social media. Adam Schefter says that Kevin O'Connell told reporters that Cam Akers did suffer an Achilles injury, so he's probably done for the year. So
one thing I tweeted this or X'd this, whatever we were calling that social media platform now. When the Vikings came out for that last drive, I said, when the Vikings come out on offense again, they're going to have their fourth quarterback, their wide receiver 3 and 4, a backup left tackle, a backup tight end, because I thought T.J. Hawkinson was still hurt. It's that offense is going to feel like second preseason game in August vibes, and they got it done, man. I mean, Digital Nate, not taking anything away from today, but after a blue moon win like today, what usually happens? I don't care. I mean, he's right. Yeah, he's right, but I don't care. I don't know. I'm pretty happy with what happened today. I'm
stoked.
And now look, the Vikings were sitting at 1-4, Chris. 1-4. They win 3 straight, but Kirk goes out. They're 2-0 in the division. They beat Atlanta on the road, and Atlanta, I believe, coming into today was first place in the NFC South. And now they won with a backup offense minus 4 guys on the offensive line. What do you make of this team? I don't know.
This is kind of like, you remember 2005, the love thing happened with Tice, and then Culpepper had the injury when they got murdered by Carolina by like 30 points or whatever it is, and they were like 2-5, and then for somehow with the fossilized husk of Brad Johnson at quarterback, they ran off like 6 straight wins and got themselves back into the playoff chase. And like Drew said, and like I've said before, there is no more entertaining franchise in sports than the Vikings, because you never know what the hell is going to happen with this team or when the hell it's going to happen. It's insane to me.
It is very insane, but it's even more insane when you win.
Yeah,
and you're going, how the hell did we do that?
I wanted to share this quote from social media about Josh Dobbs too, because I thought it was funny as hell. There's a guy named Patrick Claybon from the NFL Network who says, Josh Dobbs always finds himself inserted into games the same manner that a chef on Chop has to start cooking seconds after opening the basket.
We have the best fans in the world that will tune into this show.
You have okay. Chefs, open your basket. You've got beets. You've got
gummy bears.
You've got gummy bears. You've got goat milk, and you've got Tristan Jackson. Okay, all right. Listen.
You know who's probably sitting in behind his desk or in a hot tub with a big cigar and a harem around him? Is Kwesi. He went out. Look what he did this week. Oh yeah, he went out and got the guy that can win you, to keep you alive in the season and keep you alive in games, and he had a remarkable game. That's just a stroke of genius of getting that guy.
I want to go back to this. I mentioned this earlier. I wanted to come back to the comment. Chris, you mentioned you rattled off Mekhi Blackman, Ivan Pace Jr., and one other, and Roy, the defensive tackle, who made a couple really nice plays today.
Right.
And Drew, you just mentioned Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah and the trade he made for Josh Dobbs. And I'm sorry, but I want everybody to do two things for me. I want you to shut the hell up about TJ Hawkinson dropping footballs because the guy played like an absolute stud today. And I want you to shut up about Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah because you can bitch about Lewis Cine and that first trade with Detroit in his very first draft all you want. I don't care. But the dude has it figured out. I mean, he's got this draft class that him and O'Connell got this year is doing very good things. And when you add in Jordan Addison, and now you look at this trade for Josh Dobbs that more than likely saved the season, because if he didn't make that trade for Josh Dobbs, they would have had to bring Sean Mannion onto the active roster, and I don't think they win today's game. For just do me a favor and just shut up about Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah, please.
Good comment about Atlanta's defense, which we talked about in our preview show. They were 6th overall or 8th overall or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Usually, from my watching football, and I know I'm a bass player. I've been watching a little bit of football though. Usually, you bring a backup 3rd string, 4th string guy in. By the time you're down to that guy, you're handing it off and you're throwing checkdowns. That's all I've ever seen in my past. Handing it off, checkdowns, and you hope you break a tackle or hope your defense can score. You run a kickoff back or something. You don't see a guy come in that's only been here a week and play like that. You don't. And I know he's inconsistent, turns the ball over, but that 4th down scramble, you know what? If he did anything, Josh Dobbs has walked in the locker room and got respect from everybody on that team.
Yeah.
He certainly has.
And, you guys talked about Dobbs or Hall. That's something you have got to take into consideration as well. I mean, for a guy that's been with the team less than a week, he won the locker room. And I'm not saying Jaren Hall lost the locker room, but there were probably a lot of questions about Josh Dobbs. Well, I've heard he's a good dude. I don't know if anybody had played with him previously in Arizona or in college back in the day, but he was like a stranger. When you're a new guy walking into a new job, you have to establish credibility with your new coworkers. And I don't know that anybody has done a better job than Josh Dobbs did today. And that's something, I mean, now guys are going to want to go to war with this dude. Okay. I have absolute full faith and confidence that Josh can get the job done. That's fair. That's fair. That's a fair point. Yeah. I mean, I got to think about Dobbs or Hall next week now, even if Hall is cleared from concussion protocol. So Todd Gumbs, I'm a bass player too. Drew, Todd. All right. Well done. All right. We are getting close to about 50 minutes. Toonses. Dear Toonses, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can. Yeah. Hey, thanks for dealing with all the technical issues we've had today. It's been a nightmare.
Yes.
Please tell them it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault today, guys.
No, it wasn't. I'm talking about me being out on the patio and putting chicken on the smoker when we're trying to host a show.
One last thing that y'all are going to think is funny before we spin the wheel here. Dan Mizutani from the St. Paul Pioneer Press says Josh Dobbs started his post-game press conference by literally introducing himself. Hi,
I'm Josh Dobbs, and I'm the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. Hi, Josh.
like that scene from Major when they're starting to make a run toward the pennant, and they make those commercials. It's like, hey, we're contenders.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, great. I thought that was hilarious.
Nice. All right, Ruby, if you're still there, you want to go ahead and spin the wheel?
All right. Got a lot of entries again.
Wow. Look at all those names on there.
Need the Hubble telescope just to read that.
Corey
Doolittle, the doctor.
Dr. Doolittle.
I think he's won before. He might have won before.
That name sounds familiar. Corey, you know that I think you're a previous winner. You know the drill. Get a hold of Ruby at Vikings Report, DrewandTed@gmail.com. We'll give you a link to the prize vault. We'll get a prize headed out your way.
Jumped out of grandma's car. What the hell was that? That's the greatest comment we've ever had.
Yeah, backyard of the Vikings to win. That was awesome. All right.
Great comment. Great comments by everybody today. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So Vikes win a thriller, 31-28. Josh Dobbs doesn't even unpack his suitcase and leads the Vikings on a fourth quarter drive to win the game. Vikes are now 5-4.
4 in a row, Ted?
4 in a row. 4 in a row. 5-4.
4-0 without Justin Jefferson in the lineup.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. I obviously
this week.
Obviously going to have to trade him. Or obviously don't need to re-sign him. Don't need Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't wait for that discourse this week on Twitter.
Yeah, sure is gonna be fun.
I wonder how Kirk Cousins is feeling right now. He's probably happier.
Oh, I'm sure he is.
I think he's ecstatic. I don't think Kirk is. I don't think Kirk is feeling threatened. I mean,
I think we said this last week. I think as soon as Cousins is able to be on the sidelines with the Vikings, he's going to be there, and he's going to be right there with if it's Jared Hall, if it's Josh Dobbs, whoever it is, he's going to be right there and going through the tablet with them and the plays and whatnot. He's not going to be one of these dudes that's just going to hang out at home or whatever. He's going to be there, helping out as best he can.
I think so.
When Powell caught that pass, he probably got a semi.
he probably jumped up and Julie had to catch him so he didn't ruin the surgery.
Tears the other Achilles.
Yeah, right.
What a win, guys!
What a win! 5-4. Like, so cool. If you'd have told me 9 weeks ago that Josh Dobbs was going to throw the game-winning pass to Brandon Powell to get the Vikings over the hump at 5-4, I'd have called you a drug-addled liar to your face. But here we are.
Man, if you'd have told us 4 weeks ago when we were doing this game, sitting here at 1-4 after the Kansas City game, that in a month we were going to be 5-4, no, there's not a chance in hell that's going to happen. Now with Justin Jefferson out.
Not only 5-4, but with no Kirk Cousins, no Justin Jefferson, no KJ Osborne,
no Christian Darrisaw,
no running game.
And a quarterback that's been here a week. I bet you the Atlanta Falcons podcast are just blowing up right now.
Yeah.
How can we lose this game?
Just think, Ted, 4 or 5 more wins and we might win the division from Jay Johnson. Yeah, who knows, man? I mean, it's important to keep pace with Detroit, which they are doing, and that's really all you can ask of this team right now. I mean, it's Band-Aids and baling wire, and they're figuring it out, man. I love this team. I win, lose, or draw. These guys just aren't going to quit, and I respect the hell out of that. Drew, any last words before we get out of here?
I do. I would like to say, if that's what Josh Dobbs could do being here for a week, I can't wait to see when he gets another week under his belt. I don't know, if that a tremendous job by him. Like I said, I've seen a lot of backup quarterbacks come in and play in a lot of football games at a lot of levels, pro, college, high school, whatever, and they're usually bare minimum. He came in and just kind of let it go with the play action and that run on 4th down and the run he had earlier in the game. And, all we want is a chance to win. And they got the win. And I saw something that I know makes Josh Dobbs a member of this team. When Atlanta was down to their last play, the camera panned over to Josh Dobbs and he was talking to somebody, but the way the TV angle was, you could see his face. And he said twice, there's still 5 seconds left. There's still 5 seconds left. And I'm thinking, that's what I'm thinking. So, he's we're the Vikings. Anything can happen in 5 seconds. So I thought that gave me a little bit of a chuckle, but it is. I love this team. I love doing this show. I love this team, and I'm looking forward to the next opponent, whoever it may be. I don't know right now. I haven't looked.
New Orleans.
But let's give a shout out for Michigan also.
No, we're not. Cut his camera. Cut him out. Beat Purdue. You're stealing their signs and you beat Purdue. She did.
She totally booted him. Oh my God.
Chris, say something smart to get us out of here.
That won't cause any issues or anything. But I mean, so it's gonna be an interesting week. We've got the quarterback discussion. We're officially on Justin Jefferson watch because he's eligible to come back off of IR now. Like I said, if you want entertainment, there's no else you can go that's better than watching the Minnesota Vikings every week. You might end up with cardiac arrest at some point, but you'll enjoy it on the way there. So, yeah, it's going to be an interesting week, that's for sure.
All right, folks, thanks so much for watching. If you would hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell so you get notifications when we get a new video. Drew and I will be back later this week with our preview for the Saints game. Make sure you go out and buy one of those in-home defibrillators because I think we're going to need them for every single game for the rest of the year for this team, but I don't care. They're free entertainment value. Go ahead, Drew.
Hey, Ted, little shout out for KJ Osborne. My heart sank. I'm glad he's.
He was apparently right outside of the locker room waiting for everyone after the game. So maybe it's not as bad as it looked. That's on good.
That was kind of a scary moment. So I'm glad he's okay.
It was.
Yeah, that was a dirty shut. Whoever hit him should have been disqualified. Was it Okuda?
I think it was Jeff Okuda.
Oh, okay.
Ohio State cheater.
Shut up. All right. For Chris, for Drew, for Ruby, I'm Ted. Thanks so much for joining us. And we will see you next week on probably Friday or Saturday with Vikings Report, Drew and Ted. Skol Vikings.
Good night, Chris.
Say good night, Ted.
Good night, Ted.